Hello and good morning from the city of Manchester in the north of England. I'm currently just outside Piccadilly station and today we'll be heading down to the Welsh capital Cardiff with Transport for Wales. But before we begin our journey south, let's just see what Piccadilly has to offer. Outside the station's main entrance, you'll find this rather striking tribute, which was unveiled in 2018 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the end of the Great War. The concourse is a bit like a small shopping centre, with plenty of shops and restaurants on offer here. This was great for me, as no catering was being provided on any of Transport for Wales' services at the time of recording, although I believe that this has since been reinstated on longer routes, such as the one we're travelling on today. Through that glass partition you'll find the platforms. There are these departure boards located in one corner of the concourse. However, I've always found them to be quite small and difficult to make out from a distance. However, you'll find plenty in the way of ticket buying facilities, with staffed ticket counters as well as plenty of self-service ticket machines available for you to use. Anyway, I've now come through to the platform to await the arrival of our train. As is often the case, the platforms are located in the original part of the station. The lovely curved canopy which they are located beneath dates from the 1860s and 1880s. Our train will be departing from platform 11 this morning. The service I'll be catching is the 10:31 to Milford Haven. Here comes our train arriving on its inbound service just now. Our ride through to Cardiff today will be aboard a Class 175 Alstom Coradia 1000 diesel multiple unit. Transport for Wales have 27 of these in their fleet in both 2 and 3 carriage formations. They were built between 1999 and 2001 and have a top speed of 100 miles per hour or 161 kilometers an hour. Despite the fact that it'll take the train in excess of 6 hours to complete its journey through to Milford Haven, the service today is formed of just 2 carriages, so it'll be interesting to see just how busy it gets throughout the journey. Anyway, let's get on board. No seat reservations are offered, so I can just choose my seat as I board. All seating is standard class or second class and is laid out in a 2+2 configuration, with there being a good mix of both table and airline style seating. Okay, time for a seat tour. Even at 6'1", I found legroom to be really quite good. A tray table is provided and you'll be pleased to know that it was both large and sturdy. In terms of plug sockets, well, these trains are very well equipped, with a 3-pin plug socket and 2 USB sockets provided per seat. I found the seats themselves to be pretty comfortable. The padding is pretty good and they're preset in a slightly reclined position, which I think adds to the overall comfort. As the train wasn't too busy at this point, I decided to move to a Beta 4, with the only difference with these being that they feature these nice big tables as opposed to tray tables. Now before we set off, I think we should just take a quick look at our route for today. Our journey will see us heading in a south-southwesterly direction from Manchester, via the likes of Crewe, Shrewsbury and Hereford, before crossing into Wales and continuing via Newport, before eventually arriving into the Welsh capital Cardiff. The journey will see us cover a distance of 171 miles or 275 kilometres. Our scheduled travel time is 3 hours and 11 minutes and will very briefly hit a top speed of 100 miles per hour. And we end up departing Manchester Piccadilly about a minute late.
Shrewsbury, Church Stretton, Ludlow, Leinster, Hereford and Wetherby, Graham, Newport, Cardiff Central, Regent, Port Talbot Parkway, Neath, Swansea, Gowerton, Llanelli, Pembrey and Bury Port, Carmarthen, Whitland, Aberford West and Milford Haven.
As we make our way towards our first calling point of Stockport, we pass both Longsight electric and diesel train maintenance depots. These are used by Avanti West Coast, Cross Country and Northern for maintaining their fleet of trains. So as I mentioned a moment ago, our first calling point is Stockport, which is located very much within the metropolitan borough of Greater Manchester.
I've been on the festival since anyway.
It sure is a beautiful late spring day as we continue towards Crewe. Alright, time for a wander. Wheelchair spaces can be found in Coach A, right next to the accessible toilet. A couple of bicycle spaces can be found in Coach C. Usage of these comes at no extra charge, but you are advised to make a reservation in advance. In terms of luggage storage, the overhead racks are pretty small, but you'll find space on larger racks at one end of each coach. The interior, while hardly colourful, is nice and smart in my opinion. This is one of the units to have undergone a light cosmetic refurbishment in the last couple of years, which replaced the old blue Arriva interior. In the vestibules you'll find plenty of fold-out seating for if the train is busy, which, trust me, is more often than not. I've got really lucky here with the train being quiet at the moment. As for the toilets, well, I was pleased to find that these were clean, well stocked and in good working order. One thing that was a bit strange though is that the button for the flush is hidden by the controls for the door. Maybe I'm just a bit daft, but it took me a moment or two to find this. This train is equipped with complimentary Wi-Fi throughout. However, the speed is so slow that I wouldn't bother connecting to it. That said, I found the 4G connection to be pretty good for most of the journey.
Get on with Noah.
Yeah, Noah looks like that.
Really?
Always if he likes to see.
If it's back to and we've got that childish unity, he doesn't find money, does
true,
he?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we're there, like,
We can do a good double team because like...
Our next notable calling point is Crewe. Crewe is of course known for being a major railway junction and interchange. In addition to this, nearby Crewe works were responsible for producing many locomotives prior to the railways being privatised. Locomotives were produced on the site for nearly 150 years between 1843 and 1991, with the last locomotives being built there being the Class 91s for the Intercity 225 trains. Nowadays, crew works plays a much lesser role in the railways and is primarily used for fleet maintenance.
Cardiff Central, Bridgend, Port Talbot Parkway, Neath, Swansea, Gowerton, Llanelli, Pembrey and Bury Port, Carmarthen, Whitland.
As we make our way away from Crewe, we pass this lovely rake of Mark III coaches, hauled by a Class 90 locomotive, all of which are in the classic Intercity Swallow livery. This train is used primarily for rail tours.
Security announcement. Please keep a close eye on luggage and personal belongings and remain vigilant throughout your journey. If you become aware of anything suspicious, please advise a member of the on-board staff immediately. Unidentified articles.
Shortly after Crewe, the weather begins to take a turn for the worse. I knew the sunshine was too good to be true. We're soon passing HMP Shrewsbury, signifying that we'll soon be stopping at the town station. The prison closed in 2013 and is now preserved as a museum. As we depart Shrewsbury, we cross the River Severn, which at 220 miles or 354 kilometres long is the longest river in Britain.
Carmarthen, Whitland, Haverford, take time to read it. This is a security announcement. Please keep a close eye on luggage and personal belongings and remain vigilant throughout your journey.
We then pass the Severn Bridge Junction signal box, which is the largest mechanically operated signal box still in use anywhere in the world.
Thank you.
I can ride a bike with them, you know, I'm fucking flying at the night.
We pass some of the best of the scenery in our route today as we make our way through the Shropshire Hills area of outstanding natural beauty.
We will shortly be arriving at Church Stretton.
That's this road. This is the road.
I'll get the bag.
Like Joe Stratton on like lives.
I've no idea. It was something you got before reading. They find it funny because you're like younger than it.
Next up for us is Ludlow. Sir John Betjeman, who led the group that saved London St Pancras from demolition in the 1960s, described Ludlow as, quote, probably the loveliest town in England, so it sounds like I might have to pay a visit next time I'm in this neck of the woods.
Is Leinster.
And then the last time I was like,
I didn't really catch it on camera, but as we got closer to Hereford, the train got really quite busy, to the extent that it was near on full and standing. This seems to be a common theme with the Class 175s, with them seemingly unable to meet demands for capacity. Transport for Wales's Coradias are set to be fully replaced by a brand new fleet of CAF Civities in the next couple of years, although these will still only be formed of 2 or 3 coaches, so it will be interesting to see what effect, if any, this has on overcrowding. Our final calling point in England is the cathedral city of Hereford. Most people seem to get off here, meaning that the service was much quieter for the last portion of the trip into Cardiff. Shortly after departing Hereford, we find ourselves straddling the English-Welsh border for a few minutes. Eventually, we arrive at our first calling point in Wales, Abergavenny, and notice now that we've crossed the border, the station signage as well as the platform announcements are in both English and Welsh. As we continue south, we skirt the eastern edge of the Brecon Beacons National Park, which provides us with some more rather picturesque scenery. Next up for us is Cwmbran. Unlike most of the other towns and cities we've passed through, whose history can be traced back hundreds if not thousands of years, Cwmbran only dates back to 1949 and was founded to help provide workers for the South Wales coalfield.
And then when you go downstairs, turn up and in downstairs, there's some the front door. I don't know how to now. We're doing it in the page. You make sure the bathroom door's shut.
Our next and final intermediate stop is Newport. Historically, the city is best known for its docks. Nowadays, the South Wales city is apparently home to the world's biggest car crusher, so I guess that Newport is the place to be should you ever happen to want to dispose of your car. So overall, I thought that Transport for Wales's Class 175s were pretty good. Now sure, the overcrowding is a bit of a concern, especially as it's not possible to reserve a seat in advance, but providing that you can actually find somewhere to plop yourself down, you should be in for a fairly comfortable journey. Having ridden on the Class 175's faster cousins, the Class 180, I was quite surprised at the lack of vibrations and rattles. The ride quality was really quite smooth in my opinion, although this could probably be put down to the fact that Transport for Wales's Coradias travel at much lower speeds than Grand Central's and EMR's. One last thing for us to take a look at is the price. I paid £16.50 for my advance single, including railcard discount of a third. Considering I only booked my ticket the day before, I think that's pretty good value for money, and still much cheaper than the £53.45 or £81 for a walk-up fare, with and without a railcard respectively. So overall, a rather pleasant way of travelling from Manchester to Cardiff, but what did you make of the experience? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Now all that's left for me to do is to welcome you to the Welsh capital's main railway station, Cardiff Central, where we arrive on time at 13:42. This train now continues on for another few hours to Milford Haven. And with that, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to help us out by giving it a like. If you're new to the channel, then you're going to want to subscribe and enable notifications as I publish new trip reports every Monday and Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.